Next guy. This one you gotta rate more in like a metaphysical way, like long-term impact.
no.
Okay, you know which one I'm gonna ask. Charlie Kirk.
Bro, everyone is dead.
I mean,
What the hell happened to the Titans of the right? They're like either
Right.
comatose, literally dead, or figuratively dead, like Ben Shapiro's movement. Yeah, I mean, his again, zero, nothing.
I will drop a name, and you rate them 1 to 10 on how dangerous of a fascist you think they are. Actual impact and so on. I'm talking knowledge, dedication to the cause, the whole fucking shebang. So 1 to 10, how dangerous of a fascist you think they are. I know it's a doozy, but let's do this. Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Ben Shapiro.
Huh, zero.
Oh, he's got no motion now. He's
Yeah.
fucked.
Nothing. He's
he's
so fucked.
I think he's a smaller streamer than like a lot of people that we know now. Like he's
I mean,
like
what was it? What was it? It was the election night. I think it was it Texas? Like it was one of these election nights where I tuned into his broadcast. He had like 1,000 or 2,000 people watching. It was shocking.
I got that.
That's crazy.
Oh, I'll tell my mom. I'm bigger than
honestly,
Ben Shapiro.
you know,
Holy shit.
it's amazing.
Number 2, I'm starting with the classics. Jordan Peterson.
2. Also
More
gone.
than
No, I mean he might be dead. Oh, 0. He's dead. I think.
Like benzo
He's
addiction is no
he's more dead
joke.
than Benjamin Netanyahu.
I always wish like in an alternative dimension, because he kept coming to the Balkans to get benzos for some reason, and I was always like, and I would see like Instagram stories that he's like clubbing. I'm like, wait, but aren't you doing like the religious shit? So I would be out clubbing and I would like fantasize like, please, Jordan Peterson appear somewhere randomly. Like this would create the ultimate story for a stream or a show.
You could
but never happened.
that.
Never
Like
happened.
visualize Jordan Peterson clubbing. That's crazy.
No, I've seen it.
You could have raised up his daughter. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
at a certain point, she was in the Balkans, and after putting his father in a coma for an experimental benzo treatment in Russia, she did give her father COVID because she was frolicking about with Andrew Tate. I think in former Yugoslavia somewhere.
You know how many Balkan dudes, I mean, you're from Turkey, so Turkish guys as well, look a lot like Andrew Tate. Like every time I go, and I'm 50% terminally online because of what I do. So whenever I go out, I just see Andrew Tate fucking everywhere. Now he's no longer that relevant, but 2 years ago, like, music playing, lights flashing in every bald head starts looking like my favorite man in the world. So yes, a very, very, very terrifying experience, especially after 2-3 a.m. when you got more than a few promilles, as they say. Next guy. This one you gotta rate more in like a metaphysical way, like long-term impact. Okay, you know which one I'm gonna ask. Charlie Kirk.
Bro, everyone is dead.
I mean,
Look at all the people that have been
happened?
smoked. How many people we've defeated? Jesus.
What the hell happened to the Titans of the right? They're like either comatose, literally dead, or figuratively dead, like Ben Shapiro's movement. Yeah, I mean his again, 0, nothing.
So many people, and maybe even including myself, thought this was going to be some sort of Horst Wessel, they're going to turn him into a martyr of the MAGA movement, and they're going to go after me and you for laughing at him and being mean to him over the years.
I never laughed. I disavow.
Okay, well,
I lost the fucking
I used to
Reddit
make
server
fun of
for
his face all the time. I had the Kirk slider, which may still be online or not, where I would make fun of how his face seemed to be too small for his head. But it turned out that, if anything, right-wingers are now making fun of Charlie Kirk more than we are. Like, right-wing Gen Zers are putting him into nonstop AI slop with Jeffrey Epstein.
So next guy. Okay, now we're back to the living, even though this one is a zombie. Asmongold.
I would say like 5 out of 10.
Wow.
Like he has more emotion. I mean, we spent the entire episode talking about how it's like it ultimately is a grift, but I mean, he has motion in the sense that like he can open up like a wave of harassment against like oftentimes like a smaller content creator or even someone at my size as well that can have some impact as long as he like leans into other systemic forces, leans into like the ADL campaigns and stuff like that. He can be a megaphone for things like that and have some impact and has had some impact. So I'll give it a 5.
Very fair. Next one. He is Nick Fuentes.
Ooh.
This one's hard.
This one's difficult because I think he definitely punches above his weight quite a bit. Again, totally backed by the algorithm, totally backed by these like clipping accounts. It has a lot of outsized influential power. I think even many leftists oftentimes get duped by his trickery, where they'll like highlight, the sequence of like donations that he gets, where he's like, "Oh, I'm so mad at how stupid and gay these Nazi fans of mine are," and then like leftists will post that to be like, "See, even Nick Fuentes hates his right wing movement," and it's like, no, he's just marketing himself. You're a fucking idiot. But even then, I mean, he is a cockroach. He has been able to reinvent himself over and over again. So I'll give him a 7.
Decent.
Yeah.
Potential.
I mean, I agree with
eventually.
that. I think Nick is the thing about Nick is he actually has some amount of ability to read the room that isn't just copying other people. Like he can look at a situation and kind of have a mental model about where it's going. Like, for example, the Iran shit. Like he recognizes from having a basic understanding of history that this is not going to go well, or the odds are that it's not going to go well. So if he jumps out in front of it and says this is dumb and we're being slaves to Israel, he's setting himself up for far more influence in the future just by having kind of basic understanding of how the world works. Whereas somebody like Asmongold is now going, "Ooh, based," and is going to look like a complete fucking moron even more than he does now in 6 months' time. I honestly, my prediction is I actually think Asmongold is falling off and going to stay falling off because he's dumb and he's tripping over all this shit that should be easy to avoid, whereas Nick is way ahead of it.
I do think that being dumb is a superpower nowadays, more so than ever before, though. That's why I gave him a 5, because
you're right. You're right.
You do get rewarded for being stupid because the audience is really stupid. So we kind of saw this a little bit with like the Candace Owens, Nick Fuentes debacle that took place, where Nick Fuentes was like really mad that his audience was kind of leaning in Candace Owens' direction because she was just like, "Oh, the Jews killed Charlie Kirk," but then she said the French killed Charlie Kirk, and the French are the real Jews, and then the Egyptian were the real Jews, or whatever the fuck she was saying, right? But people wanted to hear that Israel was responsible for Charlie Kirk's assassination, which is the official position of my broadcast now as well, because it's advantageous. But my point is, like Nick was very mad at the time because he was like, "You guys are doing anti-Semitism the wrong way. Like your anti-Semitism is so base and so primal, so stupid. Like you're not supposed to do it like this." And he was upset because he wanted to have a more intellectual version of that, which is again not how reactionary sentiment works.
Yeah.
And for that reason, I think like Asmongold still will have prominence, like cultural prominence, because the audience is demanding stupidity, and they're much more forgiving as long as Trump is still around. If Trump falls out of favor, Asmongold is done though, for sure, because he has nothing to like anchor himself around and to repeat when the cultural forces of the right are going to be in a dire situation where they're fighting one another, just like we saw in the power vacuum in the aftermath of Charlie Kirk's assassination, in the hands of the Israeli state, which is the official position of the Reaction podcast as well. There was a power vacuum, right? Like, Candace Owens rose to prominence as the Anwar al-Awlaki of the grifting right, and all these other groups were like trying to figure out how to take advantage of this power vacuum on the right. I think a similar thing will unfold when Donald Trump is no longer in fashion, when he's no longer in favor, or if he ever loses power, and who rises in the prominence, who rises from the ashes. I suspect it'll be Tucker Carlson. I think he's like the spiritual successor of like MAGA sloppyism, but a lot of people that have just simply spat out cat turd style pro-Trump sentiment, which is what Asmongold is doing, are going to find themselves rudderless because they don't have anything anchoring their worldview. But for the time being, as long as Trump is around, he'll also continue winning favor with the crowd.
And speaking of Tucker Carlson, what would you rate him as a threat going forward?
As 9.
I give him a 10.
Yeah,
I think
10.
he's. I think he's the most dangerous right winger by far.
I agree.
He was the last one.
Agree.
You guys are rushing my list. That's you have building a narrative here. But no, I agree completely. Yeah, Nick Fuentes is a baby Tucker. That's unironically how I see it.
Why do you think Tucker? Why do you think Tucker is a 10? By the way,
I think Tucker Carlson's a 10 because unlike Nick Fuentes, he knows how to read the room even better, and he has like 30 plus years of being a professional commentator. So he won't step on landmines that Nick Fuentes actually boldly steps on in a way to like showcase how radical his worldview is, how contrarian he actually can be, how edgy he actually can be. You're never going to find Tucker Carlson selling Jeffrey Epstein merchandise, right?
Yeah.
You're never going to see until it's perfectly normalized. Tucker Carlson will never say it's the Jews, right? Even if he believes it, or even if he doesn't believe it, it doesn't really matter. Like he will. Like even his sentiment around Israel, like it changed so dramatically. And I don't know how much of that was like genuine grievances and how much of that was just like his ability to read the room. But he won't like step on certain landmines that Nick Fuentes will gladly dive on top of in an effort to make himself seem more edgy. And that's why I think Tucker Carlson is the most devastating version of that. Mm-hmm. He did this in 2016. He was very much in favor of like some kind of left adjacent populism in an effort to anchor his WASP nationalist ideology, and he was able to win a lot of people over by doing that every now and then, offering concessions to the real grievances of working class Americans. So that's why I think he's the most dangerous WASP nationalist on this list.
I also feel like he's the only person that I can think of in the Republican Party right now that actually could bridge the gap between the like establishment Republican Party, the old school CIA, the nationalist institutions, the rich, because he's got old money. He has those connections. He got made fun of from Putin for being a CIA wannabe, but he also has like a lot of clout with the far right. He actually has a lot of clout with the Nick Fuentes types, the Nick Fuentes fans. Like, so he can square all those circles, unlike any other politician. I don't think like JD Vance can do it. I don't think that Marco Rubio can do it. I think that Tucker Carlson is by far and away the most dangerous. And, he's my 2028 pick, or at least 2032 pick for the Republicans, because like, he just has really good understanding of the online media space. He understands media better than everybody else. He also understands how to talk, and he could trick people. Like he could trick some of the not so bright populist, left wingers. Like for example, some of your, Anna Kasparian goes on his podcast and gets completely rolled by him. Right? Like that is a sign of his political acumen. And so
I've tried to go on his podcast, by the way, and he won't have me on, which I think is very interesting.
Of course.
Because you're not dumb enough.
Well, it's like him and Candace Owens both always keep me at like arm's distance, even though I am the most like overtly anti-Israel leftist, like the largest overtly anti-Zionist content creator on the left. And it's really interesting that they will, consistently collaborate with other also overtly anti-Zionist content creators who are much smaller, right? But there is I think they're a little bit more pliant, and that's what it is. Like they want someone who's not going to be like a threat to whatever their like goals are, whatever the agenda is. And I think Tucker Carlson worries a little bit about me eating away at his base of support.
Of course.
Or you know, having people in his audience approach what I have to say in a more sympathetic manner, because they think like, oh wait, this guy's actually pretty convincing. You know, he has the background, and he's not moving the conversation to like ridiculous, silly places, like transgender athletes or whatever.
To me, he's absolutely terrifying because he's an actual reactionary with class consciousness. I watched one of his interviews. I made a whole video about this guy. Read his fucking book and so on. I watched this interview where he so eloquently quotes like 5 different books that he's read, both analyses and personal biographies of these like over the top like white Russian barons that were fighting the Bolsheviks, that he went through studying page by page where they made mistakes so that he does not repeat them. Okay, this is a guy who has an understanding of how systems work, but very openly, and I kind of, to an extent, like that's the only reactionary perspective that I wouldn't say respect, but that I understand. He understands it's either, I'm under the boot or I am the boot. I was lucky enough to be born as the boot. I will do everything I can in order to make sure that me and mine, me and my children remain the boot.
Yeah, the actual
dedicated.
So the actual like intellectual reactionaries are the ones that you kind of have to worry about, because they are the ones that have like staying power. They're the ones who have an intellectual output.
Beautifully put. Absolutely. Now, speaking of great intellectuals, next one. We only have a few ones left. Do not worry. Next one, intellectual giant. Actually, I don't know if we should mention it because I think he's gonna clip the shit out of us. But fuck it. Drew Pavlou.
Who?
How dare you even mention him in my presence?
Okay.
Who Pavlov?
Okay. Next.
-10.
An OG, Sam Hyde.
Oh, Sam Hyde is so awesome because like he's like designed himself as this ultra reactionary scary figure that is always like, is he joking, is he serious, is he sincere? And I think the death of that like comedian comes from being genuinely sincere at times. And whenever people mention Sam Hyde to me now, aside from the fact that he's obviously a pedophile and has like some very serious pedophilic rape allegations,
which you can hear in a reaction episode that will come out after or before.
But what I was going to say is what killed, I think, his momentum, or whatever momentum he could have ever had, was his like 45-minute video that he did looking like Trotsky, where he was like, "You guys killed Charlie Kirk, and you're gonna." Oh, you done did it now. And all of his fucking like 40-year-old 4chan loser ass audience were like, you made Sam Hyde cry. Oh, you guys done did it now. I could not believe it. Like that was I think the first moment where I was like, oh, this is not gonna go anywhere.
Yeah, I know.
So I was like, there's no way. Like they're trying to be like, we have to be serious now. Sam Hyde is crying. Like, okay. What, he ran out of like little girls to rape? Is that why he's crying? I don't give a fuck about Sam Hyde crying.
If you keep at it, he might break some cabinets at Fish Tank Live. It's so funny. Like the thing about Sam Hyde that's awesome is it's like, how long can you dine out on getting a show canceled? You know what I mean? Like how long can you have your Adult Swim show canceled and pretend like this is a world-shattering grievance, bro? Write some funnier shit next time. Like what do you want me to say?
But that's why he's at least a 6, because somehow he's still relevant. I mean, he's not relevant, but he's still he exists in the fog of
No, he's not even a 3. Like,
he's very important that you listen to our episode about Sam Hyde. He is at least a 6.
Fuck you, man. That's my job in this show, man. I gotta market this shit somehow. Sam Hyde, he's very important, okay?
We made an episode on Charlie Kirk, and I feel like Sam Hyde has also been like Kirked a little bit with the whole like mass shooter meme shit, and, like the reaction videos and stuff. Like his actual intellectual input is set aside, and then he's just a meme now for reactionaries too.
Even then, he tried to be serious in that moment, which is what like I think kills the reactionary. It kills the influence that he could potentially have when he comes out and he's like, well, it's time to be serious now. And then it's a spectacular failure because now Kirkification is like the thing that you see everywhere. Like no one is so interesting more Charlie Kirk now. So it's it failed.
And it's really interesting because in our episode, which I urge everyone to listen to, we talk about how he basically succeeded because he was able to exist in this kind of Schrodinger's position of, no, this is my real position. No, I was just joking. And why are you getting offended? Like that was his whole strategy was to never really let you pin him down. And he was constantly testing whether or not he could get away with some, statement. And if he couldn't get away with it, well, it's just a joke and you're a snowflake. But if it was accepted, he would, lean into it and go like, yeah, this is actually the way politics should go. And it seems like he completely forgot who the fuck he was in that exact moment. And I'm glad you brought it up because it does, show you how these right-wing reactionaries in this postmodern era are falling flat on their face whenever they try to reach for actual power.
Literally kirked. Holy fucking shit. Okay, next one. I know the rating for this.
Two more.
One. And I mean, I would also rate 10, but not. Well, okay, you go. You're on the show. Candace Owens.
Ooh. I mean,
8 and 10.
Like, does she have the capability of commanding the attention of hundreds of thousands of middle-aged white women that want to get like politics in the form of true crime and conspiracies? Yes, but is she also not very intelligent and incredibly self-involved, and therefore is not capable of like crafting a desirable fascist outcome? Also, yes. Like she's too self-involved and too narcissistic to actually care about something bigger than herself. So I don't know if she has like any sort of interest in organizing a fascist movement at all. And you see that with like the Charlie Kirk stuff. She threw this atom bomb when she came out and was like, nope, Charlie Kirk was my best friend and maybe my lover. And I mourn him, and Israel killed him, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, that's so right! You're so right, Queen." And it totally destroyed the administration's goals of martyring Charlie Kirk and turning him into like this beacon of reactionary excellence that was that had his life cut too short. However, what did she tie it back to? Brigitte Macron being a transgender man or whatever the fuck she believes, and how the French actually are responsible for his assassination too in some ways. Like,
the foreign leader is going to kill her.
That's really entertaining for a lot of people, right? Like for all the messy girlies that want drama, and if she was a little bit more disciplined, like she could be a devastating force for American fascism, for the new American fascist movement, but I don't know. So I would give her a 5.
I could see her like winning the presidency and then like causing global thermonuclear war by doing a strategic first strike on France, forcing them to retaliate.
Yeah,
we get the nuclear war is not U.S. versus China; it's U.S. versus France. Yeah.
And my Jupiterian king will destroy Candace Owens and America. Finally.
Did. And last one, just to throw him in here because why not? Destiny, because that's our destiny.
That is an interesting one. If he were to like fully lean into being like a reactionary figure, I think he could be he would be welcomed. And I think he could have more impact. But because he's so autistically incapable of just doing that, where he won't like take that dive, and instead he's like, I'm a Democrat. I'm a neoliberal centrist Democrat, the probably like the most dying fucking movement of all time, who wants to say slurs, which is the only thing that like neoliberal Democrats don't want, right? Like that's the only discernible political movement that you can identify with, like the centrist neoliberals is like, we're woke.
It's the
We don't
Kente
want to
Club.
say slurs. We don't even care about like the racialized outcomes of you know, systemic racism and all of this. The disparate outcomes for like black people, brown people. We don't even care about that. We'll literally lean into it, but don't you dare say a slur. And he's like, no, I'm the anti-woke Democrat. So he has no constituency at all. And I don't know why he has not given up on like identifying himself as a Democrat. But if he were to like lean into the fascist stuff beyond, you know, being a straight up fascist, which he is, if he were to like openly say I'm a Republican now, I think he could be a somewhat more powerful force on the Republican side. I mean, he is a little bit of a cockroach too, in the same way that like Nick Fuentes is, where he just like digs himself out of holes that he makes for himself with regular frequency. Yeah. He is his own enemy. He's his own worst enemy. So I don't know. I would say like maybe a 3, but for the time being, he's a 0 because he is. All he's doing is getting his you know, increasingly shrinking audience of sex cult autists to I don't know, voting for Pete Buttigieg or something.
I say
the N-word is a white guy.